All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we're going to talk about the Eagles, the defensive changes that they've gone through this offseason. I'll talk about what Brandon Graham had to say about the defense. So that is how we will end off the show. So back-to-back days, finishing the show off with an Eagles topic. So this is what Brandon Graham had to say about the Eagles defense. So he was talking about defensive line coach Clint Hurtt, and this is what he said. We've got a good coach in Clint. I really think that last year we just didn't, I feel like we just didn't, that's what we didn't have. We didn't have all the right coaches in the right position. I would say you could just see the guys just truly believing in what we've got going on, and I'm excited for the young guys that just came in, the new rookies coming in. They're really going to get a good shot and good taste of what it really is to be in the NFL. You just noticed little stuff last year, certain stuff you weren't on the same page about, just here and there. It would pop up, but it popped up in a big way in that last game. It's just like, if there's anything I learned, you always want to make sure that we just have the proper communication. So it's real big communication going on right now within the locker room, on the field, in the classrooms. I know Howie Roseman was going to get it fixed, because once you notice, you've just got to deal with it during the year. Howie Roseman being the general manager, of course. That's how it is. But I don't see none of that at all. I'm more excited just because we do got Fangio, somebody experienced, real good. I'm not saying anything about the past, but it was just more, you can just tell that everybody's on the same page about stuff. And yeah, I mean, the Eagles, they did a lot. They drafted a couple of corners in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and they also brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and they're expecting big things out of Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in Fangio's scheme. But I did want to go back, and I wanted to do a comparison of the 2022 Eagles and the 2023 Eagles. So their defense in 2022, they gave up 344 points, and points per game was 20.2, which is good. But then the numbers went up. They gave up 428 total points, and their opponent's points per game went up by 25.2 points per game. And 2022, you had multiple guys had double-digit sacks. You didn't have that last year. And then the other thing, too, is I wanted to look at the rankings for the defenses last season. And the Eagles were like towards the bottom in a lot of categories. So total defense, Eagles were, like I said, they're towards the bottom. They gave up an average of 356.1 yards. And then their playoff average, they gave up 426 total yards against the Buccaneers. And touchdowns allowed was 51. Then you go to pass defense. And the Eagles gave up 252.7 passing yards per game, which only the Commanders were worse at 262.2. And then in the playoffs, they gave up 307 yards, or passing yards to Baker Mayfield. And passing touchdowns allowed, 35. And I think, the only team that was worse, I think, as I'm looking here, was the Commanders. And Commanders' pass defense was not good. And they gave up 3 passing touchdowns to Baker Mayfield. But if you look at all those touchdowns, the tackling was horrible. They just let guys go right by them. Didn't even try. It looked like they didn't even want to try to tackle anybody. But passing defense was not good. Run defense, I think the Eagles were still, they were like, they were in the top half. They gave up 103.4 rushing yards per game. They gave up 119 in the playoff game against the Bucs. They allowed 13 rushing touchdowns. No rushing touchdowns in the playoff game against the Bucs. But, they were more towards the top. And then scoring defense, towards the bottom again. Gave up an average of 25.2 yards per game, or 25.2 points per game. They gave up 32 against the Bucs. And total touchdowns allowed, 51, which I'm looking because I'm going through the whole list. Yeah, only the Cardinals and the Commanders gave up more touchdowns. Yeah, so that just shows you where the Eagles were as a defense last year. Red zone defense, yeah, towards the bottom. Defensive red zone touchdown rate, 66.1. And only the Bears had 68.9, and the Browns had 71.4. And, wow, in the playoffs, the Browns gave up... The Browns, it was 100%, the playoff rate. Yeah, I mean, the Texans really were tough on the Browns in that playoff game. But, yeah, so the Eagles were towards the bottom there. They were ranked 30th. And then you go to third down defense, they were 31st. So, yeah, the defense was not good last year. It was not good. And they're hoping that with the changes that they made, both personnel, well, players and coaches, that it's going to be an improved defense. And I think it will, because also I talked about the rookies that they brought in, CJ Gardner-Johnson. But, yeah, they also did sign Devin White. Now, I don't know how much of an upgrade he's going to be, but, yeah, linebacker was a problem last year, so I think he could at least help. And they also signed Bryce Huff from the Jets, because you had to replace Hassan Reddick. So you got him. You still got Brandon Graham. Losing Fletcher Cox is going to hurt. So that's another thing I want to keep an eye on. Because, yeah, you lost him and you lost Jason Kelsey on the offensive line. So, yeah, it's just stuff to keep an eye on. I just remember, the photo you saw of Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, and Fletcher Cox. Half of those guys are gone now. And Brandon Graham, this is it for him. So he's going to be gone. And who knows what's going to happen with Lane Johnson after 2024. He might be gone too. Those guys were, the foundation of that team. And they're leaving. So, but I think the Eagles are going to be very good. I think they are. As a Giant fan, you don't like to say that, but they're going to be good. Offensively, they got a ton of talent. And defensively, I think they have talent as well. It's just, now it's a new era. And we'll see if they could bounce back, which I think they will. I think they definitely will. But only time will tell. So, but yeah, I mean, I just went over the stats from last year of their defense. Defense was not good. It was not good. So we'll keep an eye on how they do, of course. And I mean, what did I have? I had them winning 12, 13 games. Yeah, I think you're going to see them, have a top 2 or 3 seed in the NFC. It's going to be, I mean, you got the 49ers, the Lions, and the Eagles. I think that might be your top 3. I mean, we'll see if the Packers have anything to say about it, because, I mean, the only way they're going to have a top 3 seed if, they're battling out, if they beat out the Lions for the division. I think all those teams are better than every team in the South. So I think the NFC South, you can pencil them in as like the 4th seed. But yeah, it's going to be between those teams. And I don't want to forget Dallas, because Dallas did win the division last year, but I think the Eagles are going to be better than Dallas this year. I think they'll split when they play each other, because that's what they did last year, even though Dallas could have won both games. But I think that's what you're looking at right now, is you got the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Lions. Those might be that could be your top 3 seeds right there. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about. We talked about, how do you see the Eagles performing? How do you see their defense? You think their defense is going to be improved, or is it still going to be a mess? I don't think it is. I think they went through a lot of changes. Vic Fangio is a good defensive coordinator. I think their defense is going to be good. It's going to be better than it was last year. That's for sure. in my opinion. But like I always say, only time will tell. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the other shows on the network. Like I said yesterday, I will be making an appearance on the Chip Shot Football Podcast, which is hosted by Manny. Does a great job. Myself and Emran, the host of the soccer podcast, we will be on that show tomorrow, and that's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So that'll take me right into Yankees-Dodgers tomorrow night, which I'm really excited for. Big series coming up this weekend. And also, NBA Finals starts tonight, so make sure to check out Nelson's show, get his thoughts on the series. I'm sure he's already talked about it, but make sure to tune in for his show today. And yeah, but check out all the other shows. So I just wanted to bring all that up. But like I said, I'll be making an appearance on Manny's show tomorrow. I'll make sure to bring it up tomorrow as well. So yeah, with that is all the time that we have for today. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And until then, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.